Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is Laughin' Games here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 versus Starcraft 1 cast. That's right, it's gonna be another one of these SC EVO mod matches. And they have all been great so far. We have got something that should be extra interesting today, as it's gonna be a mirror matchup in the sense that it's going to be Starcraft 2 Zerg taking on a Broodwar Zerg. These two players will be playing a best of 3. It will be Hyper 1 3-point taking on SHIN. So a very good Korean Zerg Starcraft 2 player against someone that's a little bit lesser known. However, when things are new, like this mod, there's a lot more room for upsets, so we're going to see how that goes. That bird is being eerily still. There we go, flapping once it gets seen. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. You can say more SC EVO, more Broodwar Starcraft 2. We've got 3-point, interestingly enough, attacking the... attacking the hatchery of SHIN, which is not something you see too often. Anyway, we have now got SHIN going for a spawning pool hatchery on the low ground, whereas 3-point has actually opened up much more aggressively, going for a very early spawning pool, going for a classic Ling rush, and I get a feeling, is he going to be going for a sunken colony rush at this natural base? SHIN could be in a little bit of trouble. He's pulling the drones, realizing how serious this is, but his own Lings are not on the way yet versus the 10 Lings of 3-point. SHIN pulls his drones to the natural, getting ready to fight if he must, but look at that, 2 creep colonies going on down. They will eventually morph into sunken colonies, but now there's Lings fighting drones, so a very early rush from 3-point, trying to get a cheeky win against his opponent. There go those sunken colonies morphing into, or pardon me, creep colonies morphing into sunken colonies. SHIN is now producing his own Lings, but I think he's in trouble. There's no way he's going to be able to break this, I don't think, but he is pulling the drones against them, but then he's hesitating. These things deal so much damage per attack. I think 3-point may have just pulled out a cheeky victory. Like, SHIN is losing all his drones. He's down to 7 drones. He's got a few more Lings popping on out. Meanwhile, 3-point is rallying more Lings across the map. 13 drones have died for SHIN. He may almost get this creep colony. He quickly injects with that queen before it dies. Then it'll just be Ling against Ling, but SHIN is going to lose in that front too. Look at that. His natural hatchery now under fire, as he wasn't able to get that sunken colony, and SHIN is just gonna type out as 3-point takes game number 1 with a very, very cheeky rush, a very meta rush. Like, that is a Broodwar Zerg versus Starcraft 2 Zerg special, and yeah, that was really well done. Let me just load us into the next match. I just wanted to make sure, because like 3-point's actual name in game is not, his name in game is not his it's not his like full name, so it's just 3 instead of 3-point. I'm like, it's 3-point, right? Yeah, it is. But look at that, already a very quick lead for the orange lesser known Zerg. So really, really well done. I'm just gonna see if I can find his Wikipedia page. Yes, he is a rather young Starcraft 2 player playing in all these SC EVO leagues, actually doing quite well in quite a few of them. And so maybe a bit of a Grandmaster Zerg at the age of 16, Grandmaster's Terran. Korean Zerg player, doesn't say anything about being a Broodwar player, but he has really found where he thrives, and he's actually played a best of 69 match, which is just absolutely mental. So playing some Starcraft 2, playing a lot of this SC EVO and doing very well at it. So he may have found his niche. We'll see, as SHIN is still a very good Zerg player. He's already adapting after that previous match, and notably, the loser gets to pick the race. So SHIN wants to play Broodwar, or he wants to play Starcraft 2 Zerg, the race that he's most comfortable with. That doesn't surprise me, and he already makes an adjustment going for that quicker spawning pool. Whereas 3-point goes for the complete opposite. Metagaming Shin a little bit, says, I'm not going to rush you again. And he just goes for his own macro opening. Now, things aren't as easy for Broodwar Zerg as far as walling off, that kind of thing, which you absolutely need to do in ZvZ. So we're probably going to see a hatchery in the wall for 3-point. Look at that drone moving on out, and then he'll build a creep colony. So then he'll be able to have a solid wall there, which is very, very important, as that's the only way Broodwar Zerg can stop a Ling Flood. They can't just spread a creep tumor, build 2 EVO chambers, that kind of thing. And so it's a bit of a disadvantage for Broodwar Zerg, but that's how Starcraft 2 evolved. There's so many things, or pardon me, how Broodwar evolved. There's so many things in Starcraft 2, even in Broodwar and Starcraft 2, that are kind of just relics or just things people had to do in order to play functional games, and people came up with these tricks, such as this hatchery in the wall. Now, 3-point is going to be facing some aggression, but his own Lings did just pop on out. They're running around in circles, trying to keep Shin's Lings busy. However, it looks like that 3-point does push Shin away. Very well done there. Meanwhile, we've got double Overlords coming on out for 3-point. Double gas as well. So getting up lots of gas at his natural base. I'm not sure what that's for. Shin mirroring his opponent, going for double gas at his natural. No gas in his main, which is interesting, to say the least. We also have a scout for Shin moving on in. Sees the 4th hatchery going up for 3-point. There's the nice wall for the Zerg with this creep colony turning into sunken colony. Then he can just park a unit in that wall to keep him safe. Shin behind this throws up a Roach Warren. That is something that Broodwar Zerg does not have. Starcraft 2 Zerg really benefits from that. Meanwhile, 3-point can go for a Hydra Den without getting out a lair or anything like that. That is a Broodwar special, so Hydras with no tech commitment is very nice, and they kind of fill the generalized role for Broodwar Zerg quite well, as they also only take 1 supply. We do have muscular augments on the way to give those Hydras more movement speed. A 50% boost on that upgrade is huge. We don't really have upgrades like that in StarCraft 2. But then again, all the units are a little bit different. Okay, looks like Shin goes for a 3rd hatchery. Gets +1 attack on the way. Meanwhile, 3-point goes for Hydralisk right out the gate. Gets metabolic boost on the way, so he's just 2-basing it, but then goes up to 3 bases. 3 bases with 5 hatcheries, which is crazy, but that's just Broodwar Zerg, as there's no queens to go for injects to give more larvae, which is why Broodwar Zerg definitely needs some extra hatcheries. Shin, though, can hit those injects with the queens. And yeah, this Ling Scout for the Orange Zerg player comes on in, confirms Shin going for his own 3rd base. 3-point has lost 2 Overlords, pardon my observing. And we do have +1 Carapace on the way for the Orange Zerg. We're getting Groove Spines. That gives Hydras more range, which is big. However, it's going to be a very interesting fight if we get Shin with Mass Roach against Mass Hydra Ling. Lings come in for Shin. They do grab a Hydra. That's actually a very nice find, just for some slow Lings as well, as Shin elected to forego that speed. Meanwhile, 3-point does now have his own Ling speed done, and it looks like he's getting ready to attack. This is going to be a very interesting fight, potentially. Roaches and Ravagers against Lings and Hydras. Now, the Broodwar Hydras are just as monstrous as StarCraft 2 Hydras, so we'll see whether Shin can do something against this. And seeing as how he's against mass Lings, he'd really want some Banelings, but he does not have those. The StarCraft 2 Zerg has got an Overseer flying around. He's going to get vision on all these Hydras once again. However, 3-point, he does have more drones mining minerals at the third base. SHIN is out on the map with a much higher supply, but that is totally misleading. We need to look at the Roach versus Hydra count. It's 16 versus 24. I don't know what ratio you need to be able to be considered to win the fight, but the main concern is that there's 62 Lings out for the Zerg, and so far 3-point has done quite a good job hiding these Zerglings from his opponent. Look at these Broodwar Zerglings. It's just a big blob of orange. And now SHIN is going to be on the defensive. He does have creep to give him advanced warning that this is coming at him. And man, oh man, this is a lot of Hydras and Lings moving out. SHIN, he fires up 7 more Roaches, but as he steps forward, he needs to be careful. This is so many Lings, and look at this, 3-point going on in, getting the surround. The Broodwar Hydras and Lings getting on top of the Roaches of SHIN. Crosaba's going down, trying to save him, but there's just so many Lings for the orange Zerg player, so SHIN has to back up. He does have his Queens joining the fight, dropping Transfuses. It's now mainly just Roaches against Hydras. Transfuses are huge for the red Zerg player to keep him in this game, but 3-point has got reinforcements coming on in, and it seems he's done very well for himself as he pushes forward, looking to maybe take the 2-0. Broodwar taking down a Starcraft 2 Pro. I think SHIN's gonna need to pull some drones into this. I mean, of course he doesn't want to. He's making as many Roaches as he can. He maybe can't believe the situation that he's in right now, as 3-point has just crashed the gates. SHIN moving forward was definitely a big mistake. He needed to be tucked in against his hatcheries or something like that, but he probably didn't expect such a quick round of aggression from 3-point to just dive on top of him. SHIN was like, oh, I'll just test the waters, try and intercept this a little bit, but no, he got just absolutely caught out, and that was incredibly well done by 3-point, taking the 2-0 against his opponent. And yeah, that was a very good display of the ins and outs of StarCraft 2 versus Broodwar. A bit of a shorter series, but ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, click that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. And then, of course, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning on in.